Hi everyone, my name is Kendrick and welcome to another ENFP male interview. Today I get to interview Hannah. So Hannah, welcome.
Thank you. Hello.
So Hannah, can you give us your full type?
So I'm double feminine, sleep plus play consume. And yeah,
You are a jumper ISTJ.
Si-Fi. Yes.
Gotcha.
I'm
So,
sorry, guys. If I'm a little slow, it's still very early for me.
so what did you think and how did you feel when you got your results back?
So interesting. So I had thought that I was an INTJ, like a standard NIT. And I guess from what I've heard, it's quite common for lead SIs, especially feminine, to type themselves as lead NI. So yeah, but I watched my video before I got my results. And then I saw the SI and I was really shocked, but I was prepared when I got the result. But what surprised me more was the lead FI, even though now I see it. And it was so interesting. So I kind of prepared as an IT would for the results. So I read the mail on a weekend at, right before going to sleep, because I knew that I was going to have to process it for quite some time. And then I was really surprised, but also very kind of happy. And it took like 3 nights or something, and I didn't sleep at all. My brain it felt like it was trying to pull out all of my thoughts and my worldviews and going through them like a computer would when you run code and find all the errors and correct them. And then it felt like it made a zip file of my worldviews. So what was so interesting is that now it's like 1 month that I got the result right. And now I feel a lot more congruent inside. I make a lot more sense to myself now, which is great. Yeah.
Yeah, you're not a common type, or at least not commonly seen in op. So I think that it's super cool that you were this specific result. Would you say that you thought you were an INTJ because of your masculine NE? Would you say that that's the case? Because you can see your intuition even though it's in the bottom, right?
Yeah, probably. So what I attributed that and I too was that I constantly think about the future. But what I realized was that after some time that I'm not stacking abstract, and I'm also not seeing it in a positive light. I just see the negative possibilities most of the time, and I'm very aware of that. So I guess that's probably why.
So let's talk about the negative possibilities. So you are an IJ and your biggest fear is chaos. What kind of chaos are you afraid of? Because your chaos is coming from the NE, right? So it's like abstract. So it's not like, like Dave talks about, he's scared like an airplane would like crash on his house, which is something physical, right? But that other person who I interviewed recently, they had a class where they talked about her because she had masculine NE, ISFJ, and she said it feels like acid rain or something, and so it's like more abstract. So what did you what kind of fears do you have from that masculine NE coming from the future?
Yeah, so I also it also manifests itself as fear of physical things, but similar to the acid rain fear. Um so I'm afraid of insects, a lot of them appearing in my house, for example. So I had this example in the Facebook group, like food moths are a fear of me because then I would have to throw out all of the food. And other things are like it's very easy to scare me when it's just dark and I think that I see something and which isn't there, just getting scared by shadows and stuff like that. And what else? It's very hard to know what it relates to, but also what I also heard Rose say is fear of becoming homeless for no good reason, like just randomly getting thrown out of the comfort zone or having to let go of your physical objects for some chaotic reason, I guess. But it's very hard to say still for me.
Yeah, that sounds like NE to me, like scared of your shadow. That because it's very abstract, right? Like, what's the shadow gonna do to you? It's gonna like, suck you in
No,
the void. I don't know.
no, it's not of the actual shadow. It's just the thought that maybe the shadow is, I don't know, that it kind of is more than a shadow and it does something to you. Or yeah, it's kind of, I feel like it's kind of, if you don't understand what's going on, anything could be going on. So another example would be like, I'm not so scared of death, but more of corpses, because I don't understand what happens to the person when it's dead and then it's decaying, and I don't understand the processes that are going on. So I don't even understand what it is that I'm looking at or that I'm seeing, and then I don't know what it's going to do. So it's kind of more that
Like
because I literally don't understand the chemical processes.
do you think they're gonna turn to a zombie or something? Like,
Not that, no. But I kind of do, if I see like an alien documentary, I get a little bit freaked out about aliens.
aliens, eh?
Yeah.
That sounds like an IJ conspiracy alien kind of like focus there. But I can relate to some of the stuff that you said earlier because sometimes I play video games at night and it would be a creepy video game. And sometimes I would look outside my window and be like, "Oh my God, there's red eyes looking at me," So I can,
Yeah.
yeah, I can kind of relate, with the NE. I have it first, so I know it's fake, but it doesn't change the fact that I get scared. Even if I know it's not real, I still get scared. So I completely get what you're saying. um,
Yeah.
your animal stack is funny. You have the same animal stack as Dave, so you're you're
Yeah.
you're pretty much a Dave then. And you also have double activated TE. So that's very interesting. That would make you super balanced with self and tribe because, even though you're self about tribe, because you're double activated TE, you still think about the tribe a lot. So can you talk about that? Like, even like so first talk about being self about tribe. And then
Mm.
second, talk about even though you're self about tribe, you still think about other people a lot because of the TE.
Yeah, I guess. So when I was younger, when I was like still in school, what I realized afterwards, by talking to my sister, is that I was always really an outsider in the sense of I didn't really care what others did, but not in a malicious way. I was just like, I'm doing my thing, you're doing your thing. And it took more time for the TE to develop. So what the FI looks like is just, yeah, I don't know. For example, when I get up in the morning, the first thing I do is I have never in my life thought to check messages as the first thing in the morning. Instead, I go for a walk or a workout or something like that. And I would never respond to messages when I want to be alone. Like, I don't, other people have a really hard time doing that. But when I need my space, it's very easy for me to just be like, yeah, I'm not gonna respond. And also, but I didn't see that it was a savior, the FI, because I guess with the FI and the TE, if you have if you have the demon in the middle activated, double activated, and the savior single activated, it feels like a constant pull. So yeah, I can kind of also relate to being demon FI because sometimes I'm in blast play all of the day. And yeah.
So talk about so your sleep first. So naturally you're gonna be in your head a lot of times, but then Dave always talks about when that blast play kicks in, he becomes a different person. He becomes like at night he said that his energy spikes up, he becomes so hyper and like Shan is super tired and he actually thought about moving his exercise routine to the evening because he has so much energy at night.
Maybe you should, yeah.
So do you relate to that? Like at first, in the morning, you're like, just sleep mode. And then as the day progresses, you notice that, hey, I have extra energy left. Time to go crazy.
Yeah,
Does that happen to you?
absolutely. Like, especially when I see other people in the morning, I'm just, you better not talk to me because I'm still dealing with my emotions when I wake up and I have to go through my routine. And then, especially if I talk to other people and I have a good time, like yesterday at work, I was at work for the entire day up until the evening and my energy kept going up.
Yeah.
And then I was like, it almost feels like I drank a lot of coffee or something and I'm just really hyper. And then I have to find a way to go back down. And I usually avoid the consume. So I just, yeah. No, it's exactly the same for me. I can be so obnoxious. Like someone described me when I was younger as like I don't know what is that called in English, a faucet.
Oh yeah,
No,
like the faucet, like it never
yeah,
ends.
because sometimes I'm just completely silent for a long time, and then when I start talking, it's like talking over everyone, just rolling. Yeah,
Yeah, your type is gonna have trouble with that consume because sleep is like you put on the brakes and you are doing things in your head, thinking about your feelings, processing about your life, and then you go to blast play. Now you're like a machine gun, right? And like it's uncontrollable like energy expenditure, like joking around with people, playing with people, talking to people. So after you finish that, there's no time for consume. It's not like a natural transition. It's really
yeah,
difficult, like I can
yeah,
see because like for me I'm play blast first, so I'm like a machine gun first, and then I'm consume sleep next. So my consume and sleep, it's like an easy transition, right? So
yeah,
I live in extremes, either extreme extrovert or extreme introvert, but you're like sleep and then blast play. So it's so like the consume kind of gets like where does it go, it's kind of
yeah. Where does it go? So I figured out that I have to, or to do consume, I have to leave the house. So I have to plan to consume, So what I'm trying to do is every week I will try to set aside like 2 hours to leave the house and read, which I can do now because it's warm enough outside. And it's really not that I don't want to consume, it's just it feels always like I have no time because I have to go blast play. I would love to consume. It's all I so it feels like I'm trying to work all week so that I get my consume time, but then in the end I'm too tired. So
So you talk about being too tired. I think that's interesting because you are energy dominant, right? Although you're like a weird energy dominant because you start off with yeah, because you're weird because you start off with no energy and then you become super hyper. So it's backwards, because most people expend the energy and first and then that's when they sleep, right? But for you, it's like no energy and then boom. So like, what's going on there? It's a really weird combination.
yeah, it makes no sense, right? So
Yeah.
yeah, I think it's so what I guess what happens is that when I wake, let's just say when I wake up, it's easier maybe. So when I'm in sleep mode, I have to kind of organize my feelings and what's going on inside, even in my physical body, so that it doesn't distract me when I'm extroverting. And you kind of have to do that every day because it changes, or maybe even more than once a day. So I guess it's just when I'm sleeping, like literally sleeping, and I wake up, my body is still, it kind of has that residue of emotions and bodily sensations, and I have to put them away and organize through them, and then I'm ready. And because when they come up, it's hard for me to just keep going.
So you're organizing them first, putting them in the proper file cabinet or drawer,
Exactly.
and then you can do your day, and then the
Yeah.
next day you need to file them again because they got messed up.
Yeah, even probably like 10 in the morning I have to do it again.
Oh, you have to do
But
it twice. Okay.
yeah.
Um, your sleep is the same as mine. We have the same functions, just opposite order, right? So your sleep is SF. Um, so SF sleep is correlated with taking care of your body so you feel good. Do you tend to eat healthy and exercise and really take the time to do everything that makes your body healthy? Would you say you
Yeah.
really focus on that?
So I do exercise like very regularly, like 5 days a week, and I try to eat healthy, and I also don't miss doctor's appointments, like going to the dentist and stuff like that. I do that very regularly. I would never miss that. Yeah, it feels like I'm just obligated to do that. Otherwise, I'm not allowed to do anything else. And if I feel bad, like in a physical way, I just notice it right away. There's not much I can do about it. Yeah. So I have to. My
Yeah.
mom is the opposite though, so she always didn't believe me. I was like, I have a bellyache, I can't do, and she was like, come on, get over it.
Yeah, that's funny. Um, I was gonna say something about that. That's I just forgot. But so Dave said that people with sleep first feel like oversensitive when it comes to this kind of stuff, like their energy.
Yeah.
So when you have the belly ache and your mom, I guess, tells you to just suck it up or something, do you feel like you are having like a really bad health crisis happening, or do you think you're overreacting because you're oversensitive to something? Is it which?
Yeah, that's a good question. Well, I think I just trust that because I pay attention to my body all the time, right? And to how it feels. So I'm also aware if something is not going right. So because of that, I feel like if I get the feeling that something's off, then it's probably really wrong. And I have to figure out what it is before I can keep going. So yeah, I told her I was not overreacting. It's also when you're so aware of that it's very hard to suck it up. It's just difficult. So I guess I was just trying to tell her like I might want it, but we're not going to have a good time either way. So
Right. Yeah, I'm sleep last, so like I'm aware when there's something wrong with my body, but I can ignore it to get the work done, the TE, and then later on I
yeah.
would address the problem. Like for example, when I was in high school, um, I cut my fingers while I was making this poster for my history class, and there's like blood all over the poster because I cut my finger. But instead of putting the bandage on the cut, I went to the classroom with my bloody hands and the poster. And yeah, so I did the work first before I don't think I even addressed the issue. I think it was just I just let it like stop on its own with my bloody hands. And then the teacher thought it was cool because it was a history class, and he said, "Oh, this is so authentic. There's like blood on this poster, like from World War II, like."
You're
So
dressed up for history class.
yeah, because the poster got my blood all over it, and then the topic is war,
Uh,
right? So it's like, oh, this is so real. But so I can relate to what you're saying. Like you can feel when something's wrong, but for me, I know something's wrong, but I'm like, I'll address it after I finish the work.
Yeah, but I can relate to that too. Like if I figure something's not a problem, even if it's like a cut, then I'm not going to do something about it as well. But first I have to process if it's a problem. So I have also like had cuts and then got blood all over my things because I thought, yeah, it's just a little cut. So it's kind of, but I think maybe that's the feminine side, because then I just forget that it's there.
Yeah, that's right. The feminine SI. That's interesting. How do you experience that feminine SI? Because you're SI first, right? But
Yeah.
but then it's feminine. So like, what's going on? Do
Yeah.
you have a bad memory then, or do you?
Oh
Uh,
my God. Yeah. I feel like it's barely a cognitive function. I don't know what it's doing. It's just I have the worst memory, and people always tell me, yeah, if you keep telling that yourself, then it's gonna be true. But it's already true. No, I really have it. Like I can't to this day remember even the birth dates of many of my family members. I barely know my own age, so sometimes I have no, it's really awful. Like I will always try. It's so frustrating. It's exactly as they say, because I always try to organize it. And then I have so bad short-term memory that I do something and I forget it like 1 minute later. Then I have to go check on it again if it's really there. Like also, for example, when I leave the house, I check on if I have the keys and my phone like many times, because I forget if I have already checked and stuff. So yeah.
yeah, that's a weird. Like you have a weird like you have a weird type because you're an IJ, so you're gonna be obsessed with organizing, but then your sensory is feminine, so everything you organize kind of it like went missing. So like what's so it's kind of confusing. Uh um and it's also SI, so you're organizing physical things. Would you say you're very good at like interior design or making things like look nice and pretty, because it's also SF, right? So
Yeah, so I think, as maybe many IJs, I'm more on the minimalist side. So I only like I try to make the few things that I have arrange them in a nice way, but I'm not gonna go buy something, But for instance, like in university, I do a lot of statistics, even though I suck at math. And I was always wondering, like, why do I do this? Why do I keep doing this to myself? And I guess it's just the fascination with finally I can organize all the data for myself. So I'm kind of drawn to these things, and also like making Excel sheets and ironing my clothes and stuff.
so
Yeah.
you enjoy the process of organizing.
Yeah.
Gotcha. All right. You are, because your sleep is also SF and your lead SF. So do you like fashion and whatnot? Like, are those things that interest you? You're also a visual too, so
No, I'm double feminine.
right. You're tester but also visual. So
Yeah, a little bit visual, yes.
yeah.
So that's what most surprised me, that I would be an SF, because I usually, because of course we are fascinated with our demons. So what I like to talk about is not DSF. Like I really like talking about NT stuff, but I need someone else to access it. But it's true, like I don't buy a lot of fashion, especially for myself. But when I was younger, like around 16 or 17, my main interest was historical costumes, which is such an aside thing.
Right. All right. That's interesting.
So I even have like let me show you my stuff.
Sure, sure.
So I have, for example, I have those big books. There's also a second one.
Have you
I
read it?
have several. Yeah. But it's mostly pictures,
Oh,
so
okay.
that's good. So
Gotcha.
that's where the visual comes in. Yeah. And I also have several books on old fashion, even with the sewing patterns. because I wanted to make one once as a school project, but I thought that was just a weird idea.
That's so interesting. You're like, yeah, you like fashion and stuff, but it's like history because of the SI. So it's, yeah, no, that's, I no, I find that so like I'm no, it makes perfect sense, but I just never heard anyone talk about it in that sense. So I think that's super interesting. Um, yeah,
So, but
yeah, go ahead.
I thought so. My reasoning when I didn't know anything about types was I can use the fashion because I know exactly like in what time period what people dressed like. So it was really useful for me to remember everything else that happened in history because I could attach it to it because I have a visual memory, right? Because of the masculine N. So I could attach art to the fashion, and then from the art, if I could remember who a person was on a picture, because I can remember these quite well, then I can remember what happened in which time period, because I don't remember like numbers or anything at all, but I can remember the visual of it. So it was very helpful for me in history class. That's why I liked it, because for once I could remember something.
Yeah, no, that's a good superpower, I think. Yeah, I don't think it's bad. Um, your blast is ST and it's double feminine. So what's going on there? Like, what are you teaching people? Because you already forgot the sensory, right? So what's what are you teaching? Because you already forgot. So I'm confused.
Yeah, that's probably how it comes across. Like, what is she trying to do? She hasn't consumed anything, and she also doesn't know
And she
what she
already
was
forgot what
saying.
oh yeah. So it's confusing. I'm like, what are you trying to teach then? Because it's all feminine. ST blast, right? So it's like,
Yeah, I like to teach instructions, and I like to what I do at work. What I just find myself naturally doing is like making to-do lists for everyone.
making a what? Sorry.
To-do lists and
Oh, okay.
yeah, coordinating timetables. And I also like when I have organized something. For instance, I did like a statistical project. Then I just love telling people exactly how I did it, all the steps. Like they don't want to hear about it. So I know that I have to tone it down, but I'm like, okay, first I did this, and then I did this, and then I did this. I just love telling people that because to me, I thought it wasn't intuitive because I thought I get so I'm trying to understand the concept of what they say about Eddie Wu, like thinking about simple things deeper. I thought that's what I'm doing because I'm thinking about simple SI in a very deep way, but no. So I like talking about the SI because to me it's just kind of rich and deep, and there's a lot to discover there. So
Yeah, well, it's kind of funny that you're trying to give people a to-do list, or trying to teach them a to-do list because you're also not info dominant too, right? So like, what's gonna be in the to-do list is gonna be missing a lot of stuff then. Like,
no, once I put it in my sleep box, then I I was surprised that I'm energy dominant, but it makes sense. But if something is in my sleep box, then I'm just gonna over research it, but I'm just going to look there. And so for the timetables, it's easy for me because I know what, so I'm gathering it in from, I'm not writing a to-do list for someone, of course, but I try to, for instance, I try to if we have a meeting, I try to bring it back to what everyone will do in the next time so that I have an idea of maybe where I need to jump in or where maybe there is still work to do. So I try to have like a list of all the things we have to do as a group, and then also take notes of what everybody else does. And then in the meetings, I blast it back at them.
gotcha. But
Yeah.
it seems like when you're blasting to them, you're doing it for yourself. It's like it's
Yeah, it kind of is.
yeah,
No,
you're
it's for
teaching
the
yourself.
project,
I
it's for
see.
the
Okay.
project. And also because of the feminine SI, I'm just really scared that I forget something. So I'm kind of blasting for them for the players that they tell me like, maybe we have forgotten this, and then I'm just relieved because I don't have to consume. I can go over to play for the missing information.
Yeah,
So the blasted player, I think they are like this.
together. Yeah, that or you're hoping someone writes it down while you're saying it, because then that'll make it solid, right? Because it's
No, actually, I write it down very often, so
nice.
I take that role. But I had to learn that, and now I'm really relieved that I do it because I have the control for the sensory.
I like how your role play right now is because they said that Sleep Last Play is very goofy, very like loves to joke around and be a troll. So would you say that sounds about right? Because like I think when people meet you at first, maybe you look serious, but then the moment they start talking to you, it's like, this person's not serious at all. This person likes to, it's like to play and joke.
Yeah, no, that's totally true. I mean, it kind of depends on the person. Also, I think that even though I love joking around, I'm not really funny myself. But I think it's if you're a funny person, you're gonna have a good time with me because I laugh all the time in a very loud way.
Right.
So yeah, people tend to feel validated, but it's just honesty. It's easy.
Yeah, no, I think what's good with like hanging out with you then is if someone is in a joking mood and then they bring you into it, you get sucked into it very easily, especially double feminine, and you will love it too. So it's not like a problem. I have a lot of ISTJ friends because I'm, ENFPs and ISTJs tend to get along really well, and I have like the most random ISTJ friends. I had one that's I think played last. She's so serious. She doesn't joke at all. Like there's not a single joke, right? But it's I think one of the things I found weird was that I used to call my friend a lot, right? And one time I stopped calling her, and then she said to me, "You used to call me all the time and tell me your stories. How come you stopped doing that?" I'm like, "But you weren't laughing. You weren't like you were like robot face the whole time. I didn't know. Maybe inside she was like, "Woo, this is great," but like last, right? But I understand. I do notice that those with higher play, it's kind of like more like you're like, yeah, it's great. Let's joke around. Yeah, tell me more stories. Okay, so your play is NT. What kind of how do you personally do NT play?
Yeah, so I have a lot of deciders in my life, I believe, right now. But for instance, my brother is an observer and he knows a lot about computers, and I'm very interested in computers. So if I have like a sciencey person, or even if it's like physics or biology or chemistry or whatnot, I just love talking about those things. And so yeah, because I can't really do the consume for myself, it's kind of an insecurity of I'm gonna not understand it. But if I have someone else watching out for, if I understand, then I can go back and ask questions. Oh, is it then maybe like this? And that's really good. So I actually really love the NT, but I can't do it.
That's where your consume is coming from. It's coming from other people, and you're doing that NT discussion back and forth in an abstract, logical way. So you said computers. You probably like science fiction too and fantasy. Is that
right? Well, fantasy not so much, but science fiction I love. And yeah, computers, and also I really like satellites, and drones are also interesting. So
okay, I think I get it. So you are NF last. That's why you don't like the fantasy consume, because I love fantasy, right? But you're
that's right.
Yeah, right. That makes sense now, because I like the same stuff as you. I like the science fiction stuff too, and I like to talk about that to people. But I do like the NF, fantasy world too. So I like to consume that. So, but you have consumed last, so it makes sense why it's like I don't want to deal with that stuff. Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. I don't like the SF stuff that much, but I know
and you're not like SF.
Yeah, I'm SF last, so I need to. I mean, obviously, I know I need to work on it. So that's something I'm working on. All right.
No, but I don't like the SF either. It's stupid, so I get it.
but your SF is personal, so
Yeah.
yours is like the historical stuff, so that's what you enjoy.
Yeah, but I think what ties in to that is that if you have SF sleep, it's very different than like an extroverted form of SF, because I can't really connect to other people in the SF,
Right.
so I connect in the NT more.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So
um
I kind of also hate being lead SF, because SF, I'm not so interested in other people's SF.
right, that makes sense. Yeah, that's 100%, that sounds accurate. Well, Ryan Gosling is a INFP, and he's also SF, same functions as you, right?
Yeah, I
I think
haven't
he's also
watched
double
him.
feminine. And so he talked about directing some kind of stuff that happened in the past for him, so kind of like you, something that happened in the past, and that's what he felt was cool. And
Yeah,
yeah, so
that's cool.
that makes sense. It's like, it doesn't matter what other people think is cool, it's what you think is cool. uh,
Exact.
but um but the thing is, though, is that when you do produce it, I do think it comes out as cool, like if you do this
I
type of,
hope so.
yeah, because it's still SF, right? So,
Yeah.
like SF is SF, it doesn't discriminate. So
Yeah, it's kind of what I'm really interested in, is more like timeless beauty. I think that's also where all of the history stuff comes in. So I'm kind of looking for just S that stands the time. And yeah, I'm also very, so in art and fashion, to me, the historical art and fashion, they are very closely linked for me. And it's just comforting to know that something stands the test of time, I guess. Yeah.
what do you do
So
for work, by the way?
I'm still a student, so I'm a master student, and I also work at the university. So currently, I'm developing. So I'm part of a project. We develop a climate action game, and I do some research, some writing, so a diversity of things, and I also have done statistics, but that's sadly already done. That was my favorite part.
Nice.
Yeah. So I guess, even though I like the SF, so actually when I was younger, I wanted to become a bookbinder and paper and graphics restorer, which is also very like SI.
Right, it is.
Um, but then I did some internships, but then I realized that most of the objects that you restore, if you do book restoring, are church objects. And as I'm not religious at all, and I found those books pretty stupid, like some theology books that some person wrote 70 years ago, like not something that I found very valuable.
Yeah.
So that's where the FI comes in. I really decided to just go completely on a different route, because I felt like, so my talents are very language related, and I thought that that was kind of maybe worthless. So I tried to find something else, and now I'm more in a sciencey field, or like a mixture of all the fields.
Yeah,
Like,
the FI is the master that chooses the path, and
yeah,
it doesn't have to be logical, as long as you have to like it, and if you don't like it, you're not gonna do it. So
yeah, it's also kind of, I think it's not like unlogical, because so I study environmental resource management, and to me it was, maybe it's like my best NE guess of my entire life. I saw a person on TV who is doing waste management when I was like 17, and within 5 minutes my FI attached to that, and I was like, that's what I'm gonna do. It's gonna be important in the next years.
yeah.
I probably will find a job, and it's gonna be valuable no matter what. Like, it's an easy FI guess for the future. So
No, that's a really good guess, because it's probably true that the environmental
yeah,
stuff is gonna be big in the next 20 years at least.
yeah,
There's actually data to showing that environment is a big career field that's going to be exploding in the next 20 years. So even though you did a guess, I think it's there is like the ST facts to support that guess.
Yeah.
So
I'm
that's
just not very NT, so we'll see how that turns out when an SF tries to do that. But yeah.
I like how you locked in into a thing also, because you're an IJ, right? So IJs and EPs, we like things. That's where we kind of relate and connect with each other, is the obsession with things. I interviewed an ESTJ before, and she said that her husband is an ICJ, and she realized that her husband loves the things more than her. and and it's kind of sad, but whatever. and
Yeah, well, it's
so-
not true.
yeah, it's not true, which is even concerning, I think. But
It's not that. I guess it's just with the things, it feels like it can be an eternal fascination as opposed to people. Yeah, it's kind of more. But things, you might be in love forever with them.
your SI is feminine. People with masculine SI, they become very territorial when it comes to their personal belongings. But
Yeah.
yours is feminine and SI. So are you territorial with your things, or is it more sentimental with your things? What is how do you experience it?
Not so sentimental, I think, because yeah, I mean, kind of also like, for example, but I guess it's not that intense. I don't think that it comes across as intense. I'm not sentimental about a lot of things, just very singular things. But what I really what really makes me mad, if someone just, for example, if someone eats in my bed without asking, you better hide. Like yeah, or if someone just takes my stuff without asking, even though I think I maybe do that sometimes too with other people's stuff, but for some reason I'm just like, okay, this is where the line is crossed. I don't know.
That's funny that you do it to other people. When you get mad.
Maybe, yeah. I guess for some people, I just know that it's not that big of a deal to them, but I don't really know if I do it. I just might do it and not realize I'm doing it. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, you're still self-above tribe, so it's like yeah, it's like I don't care. You can't do it to me, but you can do it. I can do it to you. You know. um,
Ah,
your so masculine NE is very interesting. It's one of those confusing functions to see.
mm,
Like for me, I have feminine NE, but it's first. So I get a lot of ideas all the time, like creative. Like I'm very creative, and the problem is they fly away really quickly too because it's feminine. So I have to write it down right away before it flies away. So I get really paranoid. But yours is masculine, so your creative ideas will stick with you, right? Is that something or no? Because it's in the fort, so it's a little bit confusing.
yeah, no, they stick with me, and it's really annoying because you know I always thought because I don't have a lot of ideas, I kind of hold on to them more.
Oh, okay.
And it gets, but I don't, of course, that's like, if you look at the code, that's probably not the reason, but it's very annoying, I think, to other people because it's a demon. Sometimes my ideas are probably not that great, but somehow they just stick and I keep coming back to them. And yeah, I love I just love EPs for that because I just like listening to their ideas and then figuring out what I can maybe make happen or help make happen. So I really don't have a lot of ideas.
No,
Don't have some ideas.
I like what you said. Like you don't have a lot of ideas because you know your NE's in the bottom, right? So when you do get it, you hold on to it tight. It's like no, it's mine. Um, the because I have NE first, so I have so many ideas, but really, you know, most of the ideas are probably not good ideas because I've written them down and later I've reread them again. I'm like, this is stupid. What did this? I think, sometimes when I have a good idea, it's because I made like a movie in my head about the
Yeah.
idea. And the movie felt cool. So it was the feeling that was attached to the movie. It wasn't the idea itself. Once the movie has passed and I'm just looking at the idea from like what do you call it, objective perspective. I'm like, this idea sucks. What the hell was I thinking?
But what kind of ideas are they? How big or how much information is within that one idea?
A lot of ideas are like all over the place. Like one time I was thinking of making a YouTube video with like puppets, and I was gonna have an apple and an orange, and I was gonna take the orange and dress it like a. Oh no, sorry. I took an apple and I was gonna dress it like an orange, and then
That sounds like an observer video.
yeah, and then because I think a long time ago, David Chan said that people can peacock all they want, and people can see through your bullshit, your fake peacock, right?
Yeah.
So I was gonna put like an apple pretending to be an orange, and then like the other orange, I'll put like the other orange has like a grumpy face, and then I was gonna make him go to the apple, the apple dressed like an orange. It'd be like something's wrong about you. There's not something off about you, And then like the apple be like, "What are you talking about, man? I'm an orange." And then like right when he does that, I thought that like the orange costume would fall off, and then the apple will have a shocked look on its face, and then the orange would be like, what the fuck? You liar! You fucking liar! Like so that was my idea before, and I was gonna turn it into like an op video. I never did it, but it was my idea.
That's a great idea. I think that sounds really. Would you do like is it then a stop motion
No, I
video?
was gonna take an apple. I was gonna make it look really stupid to like take the apple and just like really like take a piece of paper and draw an orange because I'm not visual, so my drawing are shit, right? So I'll just stick it.
Oh,
I'll just stick an orange and put like a thumbtack or something on the apple, and then
yeah.
they'll have like faces. They'll have faces, and then the angry orange will have like kind of like this the eyebrow, and then he'll be pissed off at the lying apple. So that was my story, kind of like
I think that's a great idea.
yeah,
But
maybe
maybe you should do a stop motion because then you can draw different faces on them. You can draw like a shock face.
stop
But
motion is
that's
what like you film it and then or it's like a picture and then I take a picture. So it's
you put it together, but it could be a lot of work, so maybe you don't want to do that. But I think it's a very funny idea.
I think it's a good idea, but like it requires a lot of SI and like organizing, and I'm like, oh my god, that sounds. I feel like I'm gonna die. Like the idea.
Really?
No, this is why I need a partner who's gonna help me with this because like otherwise I'm like, oh, like, I don't want to do it. Even though the idea is good, like I have so many storylines in my head. Seriously, I can come up with so many stories. Like even at home, like with my girlfriend, like we have like so many stories that like I create the storyline, she draws the pictures, right? And it's not like no one sees it because it's just private. It's just between both of us, right? But it's like I've created like a whole story arc with different characters, and every character had character development, and so
Yeah, I think that's so cool. That's just how I always thought I was, but then I never did. So it's kind of what I always wanted to do, like doing the NF. But I think that's really so cool. But it's it's so weird when you encounter your opposite because I'm like, how could you be freaked out? But because I just love like doing little physical things, like
right.
preparing them and stuff like that. So I'm like, that's the fun part. That's why you can focus on all the details, and for once you can forget what's going on around you.
Well, you know what? I feel like I can learn something from you. I feel like maybe if I actually did that, then I will forget what's going on and I will feel more relaxed and I feel like I'm in a
It's
moment.
very relaxing to me.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I haven't like tried it. Like I like when I was in my 20s, I used to work for Starbucks and I used to create like the most beautiful like coffee beverage. Like I was really good at making them look pretty. Like I made a perfect cappuccino, perfect frappuccino, and I put the perfect whipped cream with like the drizzle. So I did feel like good when I did that, but I haven't explored it since then. But I feel like you guys are onto something that even though you don't have like the big ideas that the ENFPs or INFPs come up with, you still feel good doing that, like organizing something, but in making it also look nice with the SF.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's I don't think it's bad. I think in the ideal I think in the ideal world, you have a partner like ENFP and ICJ partner. The
Mm.
ENFP comes up with the idea. The ICJ is like, we're like, okay, this is how we're gonna make this real. Make your ideas real.
Mm.
You know.
Yeah, because to me, it doesn't really matter so much what the thing that I'm working on, like what the goal is, as long as my FI aligns with it. So I can be happy doing little physical things in many different ways. And I don't really care. So, but it's so interesting because I guess that, do you like handwriting? Like
But
just writing stuff with your hand? Do you enjoy the writing?
I prefer to write than to type.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because, for example, what I attribute to the SI is that I just enjoy writing, but not because I enjoy making up a story, not because I enjoy the content, but I just enjoy, just the writing itself.
Right.
So I do that too. So I actually write to-do lists to make myself feel better.
So you must
Just
have a really nice penmanship then. Like your writing must be really.
I do, but I think maybe it's like I have a really nice handwriting, but only if I try. If I'm just writing stuff down, it's so chaotic and I can't even read it myself.
Yeah,
So I thought,
that's
so
really
it's so, that's what's so weird. So that's maybe also why I thought that I had Demon SE, because it just looks like an absolute mess.
right.
For example, what I can do, so here comes my true talent, is that when I'm writing text, for example, if you're writing like a birthday card or something, then I know exactly how much space my text needs without measuring it. And I'm just very confident that when I start writing, that I can just fill out the space without compressing it too much or just making the words look different sizes. So that's something I can do. And I can also tell a straight line from a wobbly line. That's just, but other than that, my handwriting's a mess.
No, that's a superpower, because like what you just described is I can't even do that. Like I can't estimate how much space I need to write on, like let's say a birthday card. Like I'll always like mess it up. And the first let's say the first four sentences like with giant letters, but I realize I have more to say, so I like make it small later on, and it just looks stupid. So
And it's so weird because I have no idea how I do it, and I have always been good at it. So
yeah, it's your if it's your
no.
first animal, it's so hard uh to think. You can't even think about it. It's too automatic, right? So
Yeah,
now let's talk about your NF consume last and the NF in general. So what kind of problems have you had in your life because you did not respect the NF, you know?
just not knowing when there's a party or something, or I feel like I don't really have an F tidal waves. I feel like it just feels like a consume last tidal wave. Because somehow, because of my double activated TE, I feel like the NT and the F are equally demons. They're kind of equal. So actually, a lot of my tidal waves have been in bureaucracy. Is that a word? Is that how you say it?
What did you say again?
Oh, it's hard to pronounce. So when like paperwork and like tax related stuff and things like that, because I have all my SI in order, my own, but I don't do the consume, so I don't know what I actually have to do and when. And I think that a lot of tidal waves just come straight from the demon consume, or from being not info dominant.
Right.
But NF tidal waves, I think it's mostly yeah, sometimes I have a really hard time understanding, for example, gossip. It's so hard for me to understand why people do it, and I can't really join in it. And sometimes I feel very isolated when people gossip. And then I'm like, wait, is that how you should talk to other people? I don't understand what it's for. Like, it feels like such a disconnect. And
Yeah.
it gives me like a little existential crisis, I guess. And other people then when they gossip, of course, they often don't just report what happened, but they talk about what should obviously be appropriate or what you should do, and also how things develop over time. And I'm like, I never paid attention to.
Yeah. No, I mean, it makes sense coming from your specific type because it's nothing is coming in. So you sleep and blast, right? That's your savior. So it's either like a wall or that you're shooting out, but there's nothing like the play is kind of coming in, but it's very small.
Yeah.
And then the consume is non-existent, right? So it's like, I mean, you have some passive consume happening, but it's not like deliberate consume. Um, well, like with for example, with the gossip thing that you were saying, they actually wrote a book about that. It's called Contagious. The book's called Contagious, and the book talks about why people gossip. So, people gossip to build up social currency. It's called social currency.
Mhm.
Because people who are EJs, they like to look at who's higher than who in the tribe spectrum, and the person that gossips, they have insider information, so that makes them like this. So
Oh, so it's important information for their hierarchy building, you're saying?
yeah, it's a hierarchy building tool. So the more gossip you have, the more social currency you have, and the more social currency you have, the more higher your status is. And from a tribe spectrum, now they are seen as someone that's valuable and someone that is like, oh, this person has the know in, like this person is. Um, I'll give you an example. When I was in college, so I was a nerd growing up because I'm NT first, right? But
Mhm.
uh, but when I was in college, like near the end of my college, I started exploring the SF side of the world. So I started like partying. I started dressing nicer. I started going to the gym. Like complete opposite of what I was doing before. Before I was just a nerd playing video games. So I started going to the gym, get like really jack, and started dressing nice. I got like a necklace. I got a ear piercing. Like I started like, yeah,
Cool.
yeah, and then yeah, I started partying, going to clubs, you know, and like I noticed that the more I did that, it was a different world. It was kind of interesting because I felt like I felt like I was peacocking. Like it wasn't really me,
Yeah.
I'm not the cool guy, but for that moment, I wanted to be the cool guy, so I took that role in, just to see what would happen. I'm kind of curious, and I was shocked. I'm like, people are calling me, like like friends I make from school, like girls and guys, and be like, oh, and they're calling me just to gossip, because I know the insider information now, right? Because I'm play first and I'm also blast second, so I'm really good at like connecting people together, and I'm really good at like I used to throw house parties too, um, and it was just like a phase, right? Like I throw house parties, and like I know who's invited to the party and blah blah blah. And it was interesting, and I did feel like my social currency suddenly skyrocketed, and everyone wanted to hang out with me and like spend time with me, and so I was like, oh my god, and then later on when I read that book Contagious, I didn't know what I was doing. I was just experimenting, right? I was like, so
Yeah.
this was what was happening when I did that. I didn't realize that building up
Oh.
social currency. And now, I'm out of that like party phase. I feel like my social currency has dropped again. You know, it's yeah, no, it's horrible, but like, but I know how to build it up again if I need to. If I need to, I can do it again. But it's
Yeah.
interesting that
I probably have no social currency. Well, I just, I like to relate to people in a work way. I don't know. It's just a very TE way of relating to people. But I find, I mean, I get it, but it's just, it's just, it kind of makes me feel, this is when even an SF feels like an alien in a social situation. Like, if you have SF sleep, it's just so foreign. I mean, I could try it, but I think especially with the house parties, that freaks my SI out. Like, no, no drunk people dropping bottles in my house. No.
You know, if you are drunk yourself, then you don't notice. So it's
Yeah.
yeah, but I like I was very
Are
fortunate.
you sure though? I feel like,
What's that?
no, I'm sorry. I think that even if I'm drunk, I notice this. It doesn't really go away.
Maybe. Yeah, it's possible because you are still an IJ. That's true. But I think I'm just saying I feel very fortunate that when I did throw those house parties, that my friends were really good. That after the party was over, they either came back the next morning and helped me clean up. So,
Yeah, that's true.
I've felt like being double activated with TE is like a superpower because now that I'm good with the tribe, so the tribe is there to also help me when I needed help. And because I'm friends, because I'm an EP, naturally my friends are IJs. So even IJs can have a party face. So even I remember my IJ friends were telling me, it's like, I can't, I have a party face right now. Okay. They're kind of weird about it. They're like, okay, this is a party face. I mean, now in a party face. Let's go roll with this. Okay.
Same.
What's that?
I'm the same. I'm also like, okay, guys, we're going to go out and party.
Yeah.
We're going to
Yeah,
go
you
to
guys
the
are weird about
club,
it.
and everybody's like, yeah.
Yeah, you guys are weird about it. But yeah, because I have like IJ friends, like ISTJs, INTJs, and they're like, this is the party face. This is my time in my life. This is the they
Just
put
so
in a
you
box.
know.
No, you guys put it in a box, right? This is a face. This is the I'm like, oh my god. Like
I'm the same. I'm like, okay. So I'm 24. I'm always like, okay, I'm 24. So I have like 2 more years left to go to the club. And then it's over. So I better go. But I never go. So especially not now.
Oh yeah, no, you can't go right now. But I think once the pandemic ends, you should go a few times. Just
yeah.
just to complete the phase. Like the age. I stopped going to clubs at 28, so I don't think you don't have to stop at 26. But but there's a box. There's like 28 was like when I stopped. I was like, okay, no more. I'm done. Like so.
Yeah. No, I'm gonna go definitely. No, but it's so funny that other IJs. I mean, it's obvious, but sometimes I'm just shocked. Oh, it's just all the same.
I noticed that IJs actually like going to those places because I noticed that I noticed that with the IJs, when you're seeing the chaos, it's like very fascinating to you. You're like, it's like it's almost like whenever I watch an IJ go to like a chaotic situation, I can see their eyes is like big, like really open.
Yeah.
And it's like they're like looking around. They're like
wait, that's what the world is like.
Yeah, and they think it's so interesting. That everything's so interesting. Like, and then you go to the party, everyone's so friendly, right? So like people go up to you, it's like, hey, how's it going? And then you're like, wow, people are nice. This is cool. Like it's
that's so true.
Yeah,
I do the same thing. Yeah.
So you do this. That's why you relate to it because it has happened to you before.
No, it's like it's when the sleep finally sees the chaos. It's like, oh, it's not that bad after all. There's a reason why people like it.
It's fun. It can be fun.
It can. No, I really enjoy it, especially going to the club is not so much of a problem for me because there's none of my own SI there. So if things get trashed,
yeah, who cares?
well, who cares? Somebody's getting paid to clean it up.
Right.
But I think it's just like in my private space kind of thing. And also, for me as an SI, like strangers touching me is very, very much not okay. And it just happens also on accident. So as long as that doesn't happen too much, I really enjoy being part of the chaos in a peacocky way for one night. I also really like dancing.
I think it's interesting that you said that you don't like being touched because you are SI first. I
Yeah.
don't think it's SI first. I think it's people with SI
Okay.
in general. Like
Yeah,
like I
that
used to
makes
go to
sense.
house parties, and I remember I have a classmate. She's not really my friend, but she's my classmate, and she goes up to me and grabs my arm, right? And after she grabs my arm, I'm like this, right? And and then she was shocked, right? I think she's like lead SE, so she was shocked, and even I was shocked. I was like, well, I didn't mean to react that way. I don't know what it's like automatic, you know, like I didn't.
Yeah, but you also have masculine as well, right? So it would be even more. I kind of have more of a. I'm kind of more chill, but then when it's over, I'm just leaving.
So inside you're raging, but for me, I have a physical reaction to it because it's masculine.
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay. I see what's happening.
I can also. It kind of just releases the. It can sometimes release the anger, especially if someone touches my hair.
Yeah.
I can get very, very aggressive very quickly. But then
Well,
I just go back to normal just as quickly,
okay. But does it depend on who? If it's a close friends, you probably
Yeah,
don't.
it sure does. Yeah, it
Yeah.
does.
Yeah.
Like if so, but I'm I'm not a very mad person, or my anger it just gets released very easily then when I'm angry. So even if a stranger touches my, it just depends on if I feel threatened by them. If it's like a guy, then I might, if I'm like in a club or something, I might literally just scream at them. Yeah, because I'm just scared because I don't know what they are up to.
Yeah. Yeah. So you're gonna cause the chaos because you know apparently the IGs are the most chaotic type, right? Like
Yeah, I feel that.
yeah, like and EPs are the most controlling, right? And so when what are you doing when you cause chaos? Like what kind of chaos do you cause?
Like losing my stuff. Like when I was younger, I think that I have lost like 10 umbrellas in the train, and also missing the train. Like I still have dreams about that from when I was younger. I took the train to school, and for some reason, I just could never be there 5 minutes early, but always like exactly on time or like almost late, and then like running to the train and chaotic and weird. It just this sensory flies away. So I try to organize it, and then it's just the most frustrating thing. And also because I think that I have to assign order at some point, then I never consume again. And then it's too late sometimes because I never check again. And then something is approaching and the thing is happening. And it's just missing. And I'm like, oh, how did this happen? And then it seems very chaotic. Yeah.
Gotcha. So that's how you cause chaos. Um,
Yeah.
earlier you said that you can release your anger quickly. So how do you release your anger when you're angry? I'm kind
Just
of
like Dave does. I go on angry walks. I listen to like I have like many Spotify playlists, and I have just one for several actually, just with angry aggressive rock music, and sometimes it doesn't go away that easily, and sometimes I also work out to get rid of it. And what I actually discovered recently is that when you throw away glass bottles, it can be very satisfying if you do it with a lot of force, because then if the trash container is still quite empty, you can really hear the smash. So I just like taking out the trash and throwing it in there with a lot of force, but usually like aggressive rock music. It's very relaxing to me because I feel understood by the music then, and then it just releases the tension. Yeah.
that's interesting. I think I have sleep loss, so for me, like the emotion sticks, so it's hard for me to um, release it. Like I can feel it, I know what's going on. What I used to do that did help was going for a drive. That seems to help. It's
Mhm.
driving.
Yeah.
But for me, it's a little bit different though. Like I feel like when I drive with no music on, that's when I can feel those feelings. When I have the music on, it's relaxing, but I don't release the emotion. So
No, that's true. I think that I just do that unconsciously, and that's why I didn't mention it. Obviously, you have to feel your feelings a little because the music also influences it.
Right, it does.
But sometimes if you have to do work and you have an emotion and you don't have time to release it or you don't know how, sometimes if I do a repetitive task, I put on some aggressive music and it really helps me to stay concentrated on the work. But yeah, I thought, this is also why I thought that I was surprised that I had Te+Ne consumed, because I very often listen to podcasts when I go. I rarely just go for a walk with no headphones. It's something that it's starting to become easier for me since, the more I know about myself, because I feel more comfortable with my own thoughts. Actually, I had a lot, but I guess that's always what the same. And when it's a savior, you always say, "Yeah, it was so hard for me," but it was a real process. But I also did it actively to try and be with my thoughts, because they really scared me. I think that the demon NE scared me often, because I'm just very anxious in general, and then I just have a lot of anxious thoughts, and I always try to block them out with like a podcast or music or something. So I relate to that as well.
Yeah, I think you're consuming using play, right? Because podcast is chatting, so it's play.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah, and most people can use their first three animals, no problem. Even if the third one's a demon, most people can use it. It's not like it's fine. Um, I think the interesting thing about your type is I would have, if I met you in person, like before I learned about I would never think you are an ISTJ. I would probably think you're intuitive or something, because like like I would probably think you're an INFP or something, because that's probably like the type that you would come across as.
Yeah.
I like grew up with a lot of friends that I thought was an INFP, and now I don't think they are. I think they are like you, or like an INTJ, like jumper INTJ or jumper ISTJ, with the FI, because
Yeah.
because now like we'd like to talk about things, and I'm thinking back to the people that I made friends with, and they like to talk about things too. They're not like weird about people. You're a double decider, right? So you're
Yeah.
like if I make fun of
Yeah.
you, it's fine. It's like, it's not whatever. So yeah, you wanted to say something?
Oh no, I had a notification pop up on my screen. That's the
Okay,
IJ chaos.
chaos right there.
But
You you live
I
in
think I
Austria, right?
missed the last thing you said. Sorry. You were talking about the allegedly IP friends who were then not weird about people. And
Yeah. No, I'm just saying, like, a lot of I thought I made a lot of friends that were INFPs growing up, and as like throughout my life, I felt like they were INFPs. But knowing up now, I don't think they were. I think they're like you, or like an INTJ, like a
yeah,
NIFI or SIFI, because they talk about things, and they're not weird about people, and it's easy for me to talk to them,
yeah.
because EPs and IJs are like, they naturally like click. I don't know if you have a lot of EP friends. You probably do. Um,
I'm not sure. I think I had like so I think when I was in school more so, but now I think I'm going through a phase where I reorient myself in many ways. So I'm also branching out, but so I think, for example, one of my close friends, I think she's an EJ, and I get the same, like I get really relief when I talk to an observer, because like, yeah, finally we can talk about the thing.
yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of a sense of, yeah, it just clicks very naturally.
I think I 100% relate with what you said, because I have a lot of like EJ friends, like a lot of ESFJ, ENFJ, a lot of IP friends too, like ISTPs and ISFPs and INFPs. And for some reason, when I hang out with those guys, I feel tired after. No offense to like whoever's watching this, who is like an IP or EJ, but
Yeah,
like, I just I just feel tired because
No, me too. Me too.
and I think I feel tired because we spent the whole time talking about people, and I'm like,
Yeah.
and then when I talk to like hang out with like an IJ, right? And like we're obsessing over the thing, I'm like, and after I finish talking, I'm like, oh, I feel energized, I feel good, you know. It's
Yeah, no, it's the same for me. It's just like I get I kind of get restless when I talk about people too long because I feel like the thing is calling me. I have to go
yeah,
back to my computer and work on my whatever, my homework or something.
yeah.
It just it, it feels like too much time was spent
Talking about
on the
philosophy.
people because the things, it just seems like so much more complexity and struggle, and I have to go back to that. So yeah.
Yeah, it's also really weird. Like I talk to like ESFJs, for example, and you know they'll really play the social status game like really hard. You know, like I'll buy you lunch and I'll buy you all dinner. And now my
Yeah,
and now my
exactly.
and now my status is here, and now no one can say anything bad about me because I purchased the dinner. You know, so
Yeah,
you know I am
I'm
control.
like, fuck you. I
And
can.
in my head, I know what they're doing, right? And I'm thinking to my head,
Yeah,
you know, I don't feel like I owe you anything. Like I don't
yeah,
owe you anything. You offered to buy the dinner. I took it. I don't care. You know, like it's not like I feel like I owe you anything. And also, yeah, you feel like you're here, but really we're all still here because it doesn't really
yeah.
matter. Like what you did, it only meant something to you because it's
Oh,
not.
yeah. You did it once, and it was also like easy. So you didn't. I don't know. It just feels like when someone buys a dinner, it just feels like if you were then to respect them more, it feels like they bought you for some reason. It feels, maybe it's also the I thing, but I just, if someone tries to lure me with presents or something, I'm immediately like, no, this is not how it works. Like,
Like okay, I don't mind buying people food, but like to take them out for like
yeah,
dinner.
no, I do that too, but it's just weird to think that then they would increase in status. It's more something that I would do because I love someone and I would like want them to feel special in a way, but not for just for their own DI, that they can have all the nice things and they feel good in their body. So maybe it's more that.
You know what? Maybe it's about things too. Because like if I buy someone food, because I want them to try this delicious food so we can talk
Yeah,
about it. Because
exactly.
it's a thing, right? It's a thing. It's not about the status, you know, BS. You know, it's like I don't.
Yeah,
No, I want you to eat this because it's so good. You know, you gotta try this. You know, and then they'll eat it. They're like, oh my god, it's so good. I'm like, yeah, I told you. See,
yeah.
you know. And then now we're talking about the thing.
So you would then pay for it because you're like, okay, if you just don't want to spend the money, but I'm convinced that it's worth it. I mean, it's that sounds very easy. So I'm gonna pay for it so that you can get to the experience, like it should stand in the way, and then we can talk about how good it tastes.
I think it's good to do it. So you're a tester, so I think.
Yeah.
So, okay, hold on. So as a tester, do you like to experiment with different food and different things? Because there's like
Yeah, I sure do. And also when I'm cooking, like I don't actually cook. I don't spend a lot of time cooking, but I'm not a bad cook, I would say. And when I'm cooking, I always try everything raw that is edible raw as well before, and I try it several times. And also when I'm seasoning it, I smell all the things that I have to season it with, and I decide by the smell if the smell goes together. And for me, that works really well. So yeah,
yeah, I noticed with testers, they have a really keen sense of smell and taste.
yeah.
I don't know if that's a tester thing. Maybe they should have called it taste instead of test. Yeah.
No, but it's test in the sense that you're like, okay, let me try it. Let me try let me try kind of the sensory maybe, or I don't know how it would be for a double feminine intuitive, but
Okay,
oh,
because it's weird, right? Because audio is ear, visual is eye,
yeah.
you know, kinesthetic is touch.
Hmm.
So the only thing missing is smell. smell and taste is pretty much the same as smell, because if you
Yeah,
close your nose, you can't
yeah.
taste it, right? So wouldn't double feminines be good at like sense of smells really strong? I don't know. Like I don't know.
Maybe.
It's
Well,
just a
at
guess.
least I feel like I kind of feel like other people. Sometimes I get the feeling that other people have worse taste buds than me.
Yeah.
I think the SF sleep is a very it's the ultimate snob. I'm like, this is obviously better than the other thing, like in
Yeah.
taste wise. And if you can, it's almost like a TI thing. Like if you can't tell that this one is clearly better, kind of like you're stupid.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
can. If you were, I think if you were feminine masculine, you could definitely be that snob, the food snob. It's like
yeah.
you're not worthy of my presence for if you don't like this dish.
Oh, no, not that. Yeah, it's for me, it's not that. It's just like, okay, now I know that I can't really trust your judgment
Yeah,
on
like for
taste.
when it comes to food, right? Like, 'cause, you'll be like, no, I can't trust you to recommend a food because you don't have any
Yeah,
taste.
yeah. I'm just like, okay, you recommended it, so it doesn't suck, but
Yeah,
like, I'm not going to go out of my way to try it then.
I think buying food is good to do to people who don't like new different food,
Yeah,
because then they're not gonna pay for it, but then they'll like it, so
yeah,
that's the only way you can like get them to try it, because you can force them
yeah.
to it. And then if they say no, it's like, well, I already paid for it, like, it's like it's like kind of like guilt tripping them too, right? They're like, "Oh, okay, fine, I'll have a bite," and then they might not like it, but they might like it too, so you don't know, right?
Yeah, you
Yeah,
don't know.
yeah,
Yeah, and I guess I'm just more open to trying. Yeah, maybe it's a lie, self-report disclaimer, but maybe I'm just more open to trying different combinations of food. And I'm also, what I notice is that I'm very open to different art styles, like compared to other people I know. Like I appreciate a lot of different kinds of music and art and also food, because it's kind of like the beauty becomes non-personal. I'm like, maybe I don't like maybe it's not my favorite, but I can see what it's going for, and I appreciate that it does that very well. So maybe the tester, maybe it's just more open to those kinds of things, and it's like, okay, there's just a lot of variety of beauty in different flavors, even though it's not maybe what I'm used to. I can try it. Flavor in an aesthetic sense. It's the aesthetic of the food.
I think you being an consume last IJ tester makes you like a walking contradiction, because IJs don't like new,
Yeah,
but because your sexual modality is tester, then you want to experiment.
yeah.
It's like weird. It's like, yeah,
It's weird.
you become a contradiction now. Yeah, which is
Yeah.
is very interesting. Um, okay, Hannah. I have last two questions for you, and then we'll wrap up the interview. The first one is, how do you think you can work on practicing your NF consume better so
Yeah.
that you don't get like messed up by, so NF is correlated with purpose, right, and meaning. And I noticed that with a
Yeah.
lot of IJs, the problem is they get stuck in that one thing that they focus on,
Hmm.
that and then they try to build their career off that or their life around that, but maybe it's the wrong building, because
Yeah.
the wrong building to climb and build a life and career, because you can't really know it the first time you see it. You have to try, several until you know which is the right one. So purpose would be the one of the biggest problem for you. Would you say purpose is something that you struggle with? And if so, what can you do to um, you know, work on that NF consume to either find your purpose, or if that's not a problem, then you can tell me.
Um, it's very hard for me to say, because purpose, it's just such an abstract word. But I feel like, so in June last year, I joined a podcast. So I always thought that my studies were very purposeful and what I was going to do with it. But it's just an empty feeling if you're maybe it's just a demon consume. It just felt empty because I thought, yeah, I could die tomorrow and not have contributed anything to actually reach the goal. So that kind of left a very empty feeling. So I joined this podcast, which is a climate change science communication podcast. And this is now where I get a lot of purpose from, because it just ticks a lot of boxes. Like I can do my SI, I check others people text, wording and spelling and grammar and stuff like that. But it's also part of a team. I can do what's important to me. But I also get confronted with a lot of different topics because other people bring in new topics. But other than that, it's so hard for me to even understand what that means. But I'm trying to, what I'm trying to do is I'm just slowly trying to build from the base to the top, like Dave and Shan say. Like I'm trying to take out the trash. The same day I have to pay my bills. The same day I have to. No, that's very good, and it's just necessary for me so that I can even do the podcast, because I have to do it in my spare time, which I don't really have that much of. So the purpose kind of, and I also do. I think to me, like for me, that's very NF consume, because what I love, I just love their Q&As. I watched all of them. It's like a routine of mine. But I feel like I get my NF consume a lot from op. Yeah. But other than that, I don't know.
Yeah, you definitely are, because Dave is NF first, so he's talking about his NF sleep all the time. So you're definitely, and then your consume is NF, so that's an easy trend. So it's easy to consume it because it's NF, right? It's harder for you to consume the other stuff because your consume is not the other stuff.
It's just an insecurity. Like if I consume NT, for instance, now I have to like get a little bit more into math, possibly. And I'm just very insecure that I will just completely waste my time, misunderstand. It's not that I'm not interested in it or like it. It's just an insecurity that I won't be able to do it then. So.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't think you should anyways, because you're yeah, I think you can use NT play to kind of discuss it, and you can make it as a hobby, which is it's your third, right?
Yeah.
It's your hobby animal, so you're already doing it, so it's fine. I like how you outsource your NF consume to like an organization, the podcast.
No, I do.
It's good. I don't think it's bad. Because I remember them talking in one of their videos. There was a girl, I forgot her name, Lily Singh or something. It's like a sleep last EP, and she outsourced her sleep by going to those meditation centers. And so they said, yeah, outsource it. It's fine. There's nothing wrong with outsourcing. Like they even talk about like ESTPs who don't believe on NF until they do mushrooms. So they do drugs to get to the NF. Yeah. So whatever you need to do to use it, it's okay to cheat. So it's fine.
How would you do NF yourself though? I don't know. I mean, I see other people do it, but I'm just I'm not sure that part of my brain is even existent.
I don't think you can use NF consume like if you want to find a purpose using NF consume, you have to do a lot of consume. Like you have to have specifically you have to gather life experience, like and not just life experience, but different, very wide variety of life experience. I'll give you an example. So I've had all sorts of jobs. I've been a personal trainer. I've worked in retail. I've done some construction. I've worked in a restaurant. So I've done like a whole range of jobs, right? I've also traveled. I took a year off to go backpacking, so I traveled to 89 countries in the world. So it's just like I've gathered all this stuff, and from what I've gathered, my FI, the NE gathers, right, and the FI filters to see what resonates with me, right? So if I didn't do any of that stuff, then I wouldn't be like, for me, I narrowed it down like pretty much, to the personality stuff. That's one of them, and the other one is travel. Like those are my two loves, right? And those two is what brings me like gives me purpose. And one of the biggest thing that I realized when I had all this like life experience, the one thing that really made me angry was when I traveled to Venezuela, Belarus, and Vietnam. So in all three countries, I met people that they all live in a communist or dictatorship country, and they had no opportunities to pursue their dreams, and that really pissed me off. Like
Yeah.
especially the guy in Venezuela. The guy I met there, he was before the dictatorship happened. He was going to be representing the country in the juniors for gymnastics in Olympics. But now he because there's no money in Venezuela, there's no opportunity. He hurt his leg having to carry the bags of backpackers up the mountain, and he had to smuggle gasoline to Brazil to make a little bit of money, right? So for me,
Yeah.
that really hurt me like emotionally when I was talking to him about this. He's a good guy and he deserves better, and
Yeah.
so for me, like my purpose that I find, like my step one is I need to help myself first, because I can't help people if I don't have anything myself. So I'm trying to build up my travel blog and YouTube channel and my ENFP mail. And once it's making a certain amount of income, I want to go back and help those people. And that's the purpose that I found when I traveled, because that resonated the most with my FI. Like that was like the biggest hit. I was like, oh, I can't, like,
Mm-hmm.
watch like this like the Vietnamese guy I met in Vietnam. He said to me, one day I'd love to give my daughter a life. Like, he doesn't have a daughter, but he's saying when he has kids, I'd love to give
Yeah.
my kids the life that I never had. And like when he said that to me, I just, my heart broke. I was like, this is so heartbreaking. Like there's
Yeah, I get that. Yeah, I think that it's maybe a little dangerous, as you said, the IJ building. I feel like I completely outsource my purpose to my job. Like, just maybe high expectations of how it's gonna be meaningful and purposeful and change things, which it usually doesn't. So, but
right.
yeah. So I guess that's kind of where I hope that it's gonna come from. But I don't know if I'm running into a tidal wave there. But to
Yeah.
me, it's everything that is related to climate change, the environment, that I feel like that to me, that's so strong in my FI. Like I'm gonna die on that mountain. Because it's also a field that has so many problems that kind of everyone can contribute in with their functions or whatever.
Right.
And so I don't know. Kind of I don't know if it's gonna be a tidal wave for me, but I kind of hope that by working in this field that it's going to give me purpose. I don't know.
It's hard to say. You're still young. So I think as long as you don't feel empty inside, and that you also feel like you are contributing to the world, like making the world better, then there's people that make the world worse. So I think those are like the anti-NF. But I think, like, I don't think you need to move the meter very far. As long as you move it a little bit, I think that's enough.
Yeah.
Like for me, like those people that I want to help, I don't need to help everyone, but if I can help, even three people, that's enough. Um,
Yeah, that's really good. It
yeah,
feels like all or nothing to me. Like I had a very hard time. Like, it was easy for me to decide what I'm gonna study, but for my specialization, I had such a hard time. It took me like 2 years to
yeah,
kind of settle, because I felt like, okay, so I don't really have a lot of innate talents in this field, right? But I felt like I needed to find the biggest lever for me to effect some kind of change, and I just couldn't find it. So I guess that's, yeah. Now I forgot what I wanted to.
feminine SI.
Ah, I don't know. But it was very hard for me to find something where I could also because especially in the MT, there are so many people who can do it better. So I was like, okay, I need to find something in this field because my FI has already locked onto it. And I also get very sad if I think about it. So it kind of feels like a heavy weight on my shoulders because I'm like, okay, if I'm not gonna do it, I can't really rely on anyone else to do it. So it feels like I have to be able to do it all. So I think that it's really good that you're like, I just need to have 3 people, which is, would even be great. Like if you can do that and contribute in a slightly positive way, that's already amazing.
Yeah.
So yeah, I kind of struggle with a bit of fixed mindset there.
I think also because you're DI, so you are putting the pressure on yourself to create such a big impact.
Yeah.
That you I guess you forgot that big impact starts with small impacts first, so you don't have to go big right away. And I think you also forgot about your other superpower. You are a double decider, so it's going to be easy for you to recruit help to create an impact, and you can do it as a team. So this is gonna, like, they always say that your superpower is not organizing. You're actually too crazy with that stuff. You shouldn't be doing that actually. uh, like your superpower is people, like self and tribe.
Yeah.
Like that's my superpower. My superpower is not gathering. That's too much. I already can tell, like a few days ago, like I wanted to go buy a bunch of stuff, and I'm like, no, 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 no. This is crazy talk. This is EP crazy talk. This is a drug addiction that's talking to you. This is not, you don't really want that.
Yeah.
You know, after you get that, you don't even care about it anymore. Like you think about it first, sleep over it, wait 1 week, see, yeah. So it's for you, it's gonna be something like that, but for organizing, like your brain probably could tell you you need to organize it, and then you need to recognize you're a lying son of a bitch. Like
Yeah.
you're I don't need to organize this. I'm fine. Like
It's so hard to not believe it. It honestly feels like I would have to believe in this to be true, that I'm lead SI, almost like in a religious way,
yeah.
to accept that it's lying to me because it's so convincing. It's truly difficult, like the thought of, because it's just so automatic, like, okay, so I need to gather some more. Okay, let me sit down, write a to-do list. So then now I know in which order I need to gather.
Oh my gosh, you organize your gather too.
Yeah. It's so difficult, like to even believe that it's a lie. I don't. It's so hard.
I think you need to use your double decider to help you with that addiction. Because like for me, there are many times when like I bought something or I wanted to buy something and gather something, and I told someone I was gonna do it, and they told me, "Do you really want that? Are you sure?" And then they put the doubt in my head, right? And I'm like, okay, yeah, you're probably right. I'll sleep on it. And you're like, okay, or yeah. So I use my double decider to tell people what I was about to do, and they told me, hey, maybe you should think first. And I'm like,
you're an idiot. And
yeah, exactly. So maybe for you can do the same thing. Before you organize something, you need to like talk to people. It's like, hey, I'm gonna organize this. And if your friend tells you it looks fine, I don't think you need to do anything. You're just, you don't obsess over this, and then you'll be like, okay, you're right, yeah.
No, I get that. Last Sunday, I did some statistics in the morning. It's a Sunday. I work all week. Then I did statistics in the morning, and then I proceeded to organize my like invoices. Is that the word? Like I have a binder, and I started to rearrange them, and I'm like, it's sunny outside. It's Sunday. It's 3 p.m. Maybe this is not the right thing to do, but I kind of have to put myself into other people's shoes and look at myself and see if, because otherwise I wouldn't. Yeah, but I think it's the first time last Sunday that I realized that I had to, if I looked at myself from an outside perspective, then I was like, oh my god, this is so weird. Like, why would you?
Yeah.
Sunday afternoon?
I completely relate to that. Different from gathering, but it's the same. But I can feel your pain now though, because it's the same. That feeling of like obsession is the same.
Yeah,
You know, like
yeah,
so when I meet like deciders now and they're obsessing over people, I just have to go before I judge them, for being crazy. I just look
yeah,
back at myself and be like, okay, you're nuts when it comes to the gathering stuff, and they think you're crazy. So have some more empathy for them for what they're feeling, and
yeah,
help them throughout instead of being an asshole and laughing at them for having people problems.
yeah. I think so. I realized that I'm just talking a lot. So, but one thing that I get really frustrated by the single deciders is that they are so good with the observations that I'm like, please, you're so good with the thing. Let's talk about the thing. You're the expert here.
Right.
But then they just talk about people. I'm like, no.
It's too boring for them. It's too easy.
Yeah,
Yeah, no.
yeah, that's probably it. But it's so frustrating.
Yeah,
Please talk about the thing.
when I was working as a travel blogger before, my boss was an EJ, and he was so good at like organizing and gathering. So I wanted to ask him questions about that, but he looks so bored. He just wants to talk about how Donald
Yeah,
Trump. He wants to talk about how asshole Donald Trump is, and I'm like, I don't want to talk about Donald Trump.
whatever.
And he's crazy too. He's going on his Facebook. He's saying he's like Donald Trump is a piece of crap, blah blah. And it's like the whole Facebook list like that. I'm like, oh, I don't want to talk about this. This is lame. You're crazy, man. You're just this is crazy talk. You know?
Gonna die anyway someday.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no. Yeah, that's ugh. No, I'm starting to have more empathy for them, but it really took me. It, it's kind of that as the more you see how much you're an idiot, it
Yeah.
gets just easier to have empathy. But
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. We're all idiots. So
yeah,
yeah.
truly, and especially because I'm so young, I'm just an idiot in all respects. So
It's so easy for you to make fun of yourself. You're like, ha, ha, I'm an idiot. You're an idiot, haha. But if
yeah,
you go to an EJ and call them an idiot, they're like, it's like, it's like,
yeah. But it's so helpful to know that EJs exist because otherwise I would just be like, "Hmm, I'm just gonna leave. I don't know what's happening here. What are you triggered by? I don't understand.
yeah, yeah, because you
It's
don't care, because it's easy. So,
yeah,
all right, Hannah, thanks for coming out and doing this interview. I really appreciate you reaching out and doing this.
yeah.
So,
Thanks for your time.
yeah, for sure. So, take care and enjoy the rest of your day. I know it's super morning for you. For me, it's like 11 p.m. So my day is about to end.
God,
Yeah. All
go
right.
to sleep.
Take care.
Bye.
See you.